Hello beautiful souls, it's Kerry, and today I'll be talking about the Fool, which is 0. It's the first card in the tarot. So it is the beginning, the incarnation. So when we see the Fool in a reading, we would see that there's a new project that's about to begin, or there's a new beginning. But it's a new path, it's somewhere you haven't been before. So it's not just transitioning into a new kind of area, it's actually a complete new beginning. So a venture into the unknown. And the Fool travels lightly. The Fool has a stick, which is the wand, and on the stick is a backpack, a knapsack with just a few essentials in there, and it's kind of held together as a little sack there. So we'd also see the symbolism here of the cup, as in the cup of holding the essentials that's necessary to move forward at this time. We have the little dog accompanying the Fool. I would say that the Fool is androgynous, even though it's often represented as a male. That's just a traditional way of looking at things from what we've come from, which has been a fairly kind of patriarchal sort of world view of interpretation. So we live in a world now where there isn't much differentiation between the sexes, and some people, in fact, some people don't know the difference between them. Anyway, we would see that the little dog accompanying the Fool is a greyhound, and this is the sense of a companion, the sense of someone to show you the way, this sense of listening to your instincts, because dogs are very good at knowing in a very kind of grounded way. They sense when things aren't right. They are good guides. They can give us information from other dimensions that we don't necessarily have at our disposal, because we live in very artificial ways these days. So whilst it's a dog, it's really about our internal instincts. So listening to our own animal nature and listening to our gut instincts, which is really important. So on the head of the Fool is the 7 feathers there in the hat. And this symbolises 7 as a symbolic spiritual number, but also the 7 chakras and the cycle of life in the physical form. So when you look at the ancient myth about Credwen, who was a goddess, the death goddess, and Taliesin, who was the young man coming in to be the way shower. He was the one who accidentally tripped into, like a Fool, tripped into gaining all knowledge from an old man who was obsessed with the mysteries and wanted to know all of the mysteries, and he'd been given instructions by the spiritual realm about how to be able to gather all of the mysteries and the knowledge. And Taliesin happened by just as the sacred salmon, I think, that he'd been brewing for many, many years in this cauldron, and a spark flew out from the cauldron and hit Taliesin on the thumb, and he stuck his thumb into his mouth and then became the recipient of all knowledge, much to the disgruntled disapproval of the man who had done all the work. So here we see the cyclic nature of life. Okay, now we come in, we get our ego, we're all kind of obsessed with our ego and who we are and what we're going to do and but we're part of a continuum. And this, in his hand or her hand, is the mistletoe. And the mistletoe is a sacred symbol. We see it at Christmas time. It's brought out at Christmas time, and it shows the red berries, which is like the blood. And the mistletoe, if you look up mistletoe and the spiritual meaning of mistletoe, it is very significant. So this is about having the seeds of all of our ancestral lines. So everyone that's on our line, in our DNA, we carry the code, we carry the information. Some of it's dormant, some of it's more active. Sometimes we have curses that we need to work through, that our ancestors have subjected the family line to. So I would always recommend that people seek assistance with that, either removing curses, removing cords, energetic cords, but sometimes there's a karmic debt that has to be paid. So we can have blessings passed on by our family, and we can have curses as well. So if you see in patterns in families where there'll be addictions, or there'll be depression, or there'll just be things that seem to carry on. Now we would say, oh, this is a genetic thing. Well, perhaps it is. There's all kinds of different ways of looking at things, but I come at things from a spiritual point of view. So I certainly have done some curse breaking using the power of the blood of Jesus. And if you say that 3 times, obviously you have to have a faith in that. It's not just a little magic spell mantra that you can say and expect it to work. It's got to be rooted in some kind of connection with the divine, and some acceptance also that you are a child of God, and that as a child of God, Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and the way shower. So coming from a place of peace, coming from a place of love, and coming from a place of thinking about others, not just thinking about yourself. So this would be the kind of Christian ethos. So back to the Fool. We drop into this incarnation here from the spiritual realm. We're souls having a physical body. Our mothers grow our body. Our mothers are the engineers of our bodies, and they grow the body in the womb. And the womb and the tomb are always sacred in the Celtic mysteries. So here we have the new life, we'd say. The 0 is the beginning of something. Coming in, and it is about to venture down into because it's on a hill here, it's on a cliff, and it's barefoot. The person is barefoot, they are barefoot, and they venture on down, not knowing what's ahead, as we do when we come in for a life on the earth. Obviously we've made a soul plan, so our soul knows. But there is a great forgetting that happens in between the world of spirit and the world of landing in the physical dimension. Otherwise, it would all be too easy, right? So there's a sense of adventure. There's a sense of playful abandonment as well. You know, that just the court. Think of the court jester, right? The court jester was the one person who could come in and use humour to build up the king or the monarch, the king or the queen, or whoever was the monarch. The court jester had that kind of liberty to come in and make light, make fun, poke fun at the monarch, etc., in a way that no one else could have. They would have had their head cut off. And so there's a sense of what we would previously say gay abandon, you know, that when that word was used in a different kind of context. And it was to do with just being very carefree and having an expectation of good things ahead. And so here we see the Fool stepping out on their path of adventure. And our life is an adventure. And we may be the Fool many times over as we go through different periods of growth, and then come back again to start a new period. And often that's when things suddenly end, or perhaps the partner dies, and this life that you've built it's no longer going to serve you. You'll just sit in the bombed out foundations of your own life, unless you take that chance there and step out again in faith, starting a new adventure. And listening to the inner voice is always going to help guide us. Some people block that. They don't want to pay attention to that. Most people have it. If it's not active in your life, you might want to try meditating. You might want to also examine what it is that you're putting into your body. If you're taking a lot of drugs, or drinking a lot of alcohol, or numbing your senses with other addictions, or dietary things like a lot of sugar, have a think about cleaning up your body. People get very obsessed with the environment these days, but you see all these Oompa Loompas walking around just filled with unnecessary calories, sugar, carbohydrates, etc. So you have agency over your own environment, and this is the environment that you move forward into in the latter parts of your life. So it's a very good idea to invest in your own health and well-being, so that the journey is enjoyable right to the end. All right, darlings, I hope that was helpful. It was a long explanation of the Fool. given that, you know, there is only this one on the cyclic with the major arcana. The others each have at least 2 and some have 3, but here we have the full. So I hope that was helpful. If you'd like more, please give me a like, follow for more. And if you found it useful, please share. And that way other people can enjoy the wisdom. Take care, lovelies.